University of West Georgia's Wind Ensemble is working on a performance of John Mackey's new clarinet concerto, Divine Mischief. So as I'm working together with them on this, I figured this would be a really great opportunity for you to see inside my mind and my practice routine as I'm gearing up to perform something like this, because it's such a different concerto experience. It's a phenomenal piece, but it just takes a lot of mental preparation as well as technical preparation to try and figure out how to pull this off effectively. So let's go inside the practice room. It is a gross rainy day in Georgia. I'm gonna head over actually to the Wind Ensemble's rehearsal space. So our Arts and Humanities building is undergoing renovations currently, so we're in a temporary space until we get our building back. But for the type of practicing we're going to be doing today, I figured it'd be really good to be in the space, just so we can do a little bit of physical movement practice, as well as try out some new techniques that I think are really going to be a lot of fun to implement in this style of performance. So let's head over there. Now that I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of warming up first, just to get used to the space, get used to the read. It's kind of a wacky weather day, so we'll see what happens here. This piece involves a lot of flutter tonguing as well, which I can't naturally roll my R's yet, so I'm having to do a lot of this as a sort of growl with the back of my throat. So I'm going to warm up on a little bit of that too, just to make sure that feels really flexible. While I give my face a little bit of a rest here, I want to explain the next part of what is typically my day-to-day preparation for this piece, which involves a lot of actors' warm-ups, facial stretches, and going through monologues of various sorts. This plays along a concept that I'll go over with a lot of my students at the university, especially starting in about the second year of their undergraduate studies, which talks about the fact that even though we are instrumentalists, we're still very much actors on a musical stage. We're always trying to paint various pictures, tell stories, evoke certain characters and emotions in our performances. So we're trying to go beyond the notes on a page and dig deeper for our listener. This concerto, Divine Mischief, very much plays along this idea because it has a very set, defined story arc to it. The soloist plays a very specific role in its relation to the ensemble. So what I'll do a lot of times is I'll go through with my students, whether it's like monologues from plays, even movies that they really like, just to get them to physically feel and show these emotions. That way it connects to your listener on a whole different level when you add the instrument and you play the written dynamics and whatever's inked on the page. All of a sudden it becomes a three-dimensional performance rather than just a flat two-dimensional one. The soloist in this work takes the form of a trickster. So for a lot of us nowadays, Loki from the Marvel Cinematic Universe is one of the first things that comes to mind. Though for me, I take a lot of inspiration when I'm preparing this piece from the TV show Adventure Time. There's a rather peculiar character called Magic Man. He's a rather interesting character in a sense that obviously he's got magical powers, but he loves to toy with people's emotions. He loves to teach people various life lessons through some really wacky means. And in his head, there's a little bit of an equal mixture of magic and madness at the same time, which I think really perfectly embodies this piece as a whole. That madness becomes more and more prevalent So I feel like this part of my practice is probably the most important behind just getting the notes and rhythms. This concerto is very unique in terms of this mental preparation. And so before we dive into the music itself, this is always something that I like to do before I even touch what's on the page. Now, as we get set up for the music itself, I want to briefly talk about the opening of this piece because it's probably one of my favorite things ever. If you can imagine going to take someone to the movies and you think that you're going to see something like a Notebook or some sort of rom-com, but it turns out to be like Saw 3 or like some sort of just super gory horror movie, and you're just like, ugh. That's how this concerto starts. So the whole premise is that the ensemble takes on the role of the people of the town square. There's a lot of activity, there's a lot of hustle and bustle, but the townspeople notice this stranger that has this sort of like fantastical aura about him. And they're trying to get him to do something for them, to entertain them. And the stranger finally gives in, and thus we get our first note. And the townspeople just respond really angrily, and they're just like, what the heck? This is not what I wanted. And so after that, the piece takes off from there. And what we'll go ahead and do now is go through a lot of the technique. And I'll start, now that we're about, I'd say probably about a week and a half away from the performance. I'm going to just sort of nitpick some of the technique, make sure everything feels really comfortable. But something else I'm going to experiment with too, and I've been talking with our director about this. In fact, he suggested the idea that we experiment with different stage positions. So oftentimes when you do a concerto, the performer will just pretty much stay in one spot the entire time. But with the amount of conversation that goes on in this piece between soloists and various members of the ensemble, we figured it might be fun to add a little bit of movement to this, so that the audience can get a really great visual of how the conversations are happening between our soloist and our other soloists within the ensemble. So let's get to work and we'll see how some of this goes so that we can test it out with the whole gang involved. So we fast forwarded a little bit and now it's T-minus 5 days until the performance, less than a week out. And the feeling, it's so exciting. This is one of those pieces that the more you play it, the more you practice it, you just get to find out more about the little details and the little nuances, not just technically speaking, but also character-wise, character development. And it's just such a journey. And I've just enjoyed every step of the process. So this rehearsal is our first one with almost all the players at this point. So up until this point, we've had most of the ensemble. It's just we needed to fill out a few sections, so we needed to bring in a couple of bassoonists, a couple of clarinetists, miscellaneous instruments like harp and piano to really bring all the colors together. And this is our first rehearsal doing that. So this is going to be a really, really cool experience to fully experience how everything comes together. So I'm stoked. We are now less than 24 hours away. Decided to squeeze in a late night practice session. It's probably like 11 o'clock or something at night. Wanted to just check some tempos, make sure reads feel good. And I've got a couple of rehearsal reads lined up so that concert reads will stay ready. But this is exciting. This is cool. This is one of those pieces that's been kind of a long time in the making for everybody involved. So 2 years has flown by just like crazy. As a performer, this is one of those moments where your fingers start to feel like they want to question things. There are certain passages where you know you put the time and the effort into them until you go crazy, but yet somehow they still feel a little uncertain. But the nice thing is that I haven't really gotten to that same extent with this piece. The focus on the character and the story helps you not worry about the fingers and their own sort of self-doubt. Everything just feels really good. Everything feels really confident. And the ensemble sounds great, of course. So it's gonna be a fun time. I think this is gonna end up being one of my favorite performances ever. And what a piece to do it on. It's just such an honor and a privilege to be able to do this. And so we've got a sound check tomorrow, just checking a few things, and it'll be showtime before we know it. So with that, I'm gonna go get some sleep because I haven't gotten much this week, so need to catch up for the concert. And we'll see y'all tomorrow. Y'all gotta check this out. Oh my God, all the sequence. Well, we're here. The wind ensemble sounds great out there. They're about 2/3 of the way through the program. Just wanted to give some final thoughts on this. What a journey. What a journey it's been. This is such a cool piece. I'm really hoping that it has a chance to get played a whole lot more because it's just so unique and so powerful in terms of not only just the solo part, but in terms of how solo and ensemble react to each other and converse with each other. It's just been such a pleasure to get to do this with this group of students. They're gonna sound amazing. I just know it. The outfit is a little bit, not necessarily Magic Man inspired, but I wanted something with a little bit of pizzazz, so to speak, with the sort of outlandish nature of the soloist character. I wanted to just go a little bit further than the old concert black. And, I think the suit is gonna do just fine. It's not every day that I get to wear sequins. It's kind of bittersweet to be at the end of this journey where it's like, in about 45 minutes, we'll be done with it. And who knows when the next time I'll get to play this piece again will be. But I've enjoyed every step of the way. Well done, Mackey. This is a true powerhouse of a concerto, and you nailed it.